when it comes down to it, if I'm putting a pace and grinding on you, you better have more heart than me, because I'm not going to stop coming forward. Being this motivated definitely makes me dangerous. Most people break under pressure. I'm a diamond.
In this fight, I hope to accomplish a lot of oohs, a lot of ahs, and a lot of surprise of where I came from.
The best part of my game, I would say, is my striking. I like punishing people to the body, and I'm looking for a finish.
He's going to be running into this F-bomb all night, and once this hits him, it's going to hurt him. There's no doubt.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. It is a city where a lot of people come to test their luck, and where tonight, 10 fighters have come to test their skill in the audition of a lifetime. Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Sanko alongside Brendan Fitzgerald, and this is the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series pre-show brought to you by Toyo Tires, All or Nothing. Brendan, we're here. It's week 8. We've had 7 weeks of fights, 35 matches, 13 UFC contracts given out. Give us your thoughts so far on this season.
A summer to remember, I think, for everybody. I mean, Tuesday nights, we now have something to do on Tuesday nights. We get to watch 5 live fights each week. We get to see the future of the UFC, and these guys now that have earned contracts are starting to book fights. I think it's just going to ramp up the excitement as we keep going. Love the card that we have tonight, and live action on a Tuesday night. You can't beat it. Well,
speaking of the card that we have tonight, if you guys don't want to miss it, you're going to want to head over to UFC Fight Pass right now. And if you don't already have a subscription, head over to UFCFightPass.com, sign up for your free trial. If you're an MMA fan at all, like I am, like Brendan is, I can assure you, you're going to say, why didn't I do this sooner? So anyway, back to tonight's fight. In addition to a fantastic featured bout, there's another bout on this card that I personally am very excited about, and that is the women's bantamweight fight between Kelly Velasco and Lauren Mueller.
Yeah, Lauren Mueller, let's start with her, because she's been doing MMA for 4 years, says, I've been a fighter my whole life, got into trouble growing up, it is what it is, wanted to fight, said, let's turn it into a career. She's done that. She says her fighting style is tiger style. She calls herself the Princess Tiger. She is a strong fighter and says that this opportunity tonight is the best thing to ever happen to her, to get to fight in front of Dana White and the matchmakers, and we'll see what she turns it into. Normally a 125-pounder, and she trains with Angela Hill. Tried to get on Tough 26, did not work out, so she's taking advantage of the opportunity at 135. We'll see how it pans out tonight.
Taking this fight on slightly late notice as well, and against a very tough Kelly Velasco, who I had the honor of seeing her, just her second professional fight at Invicta as part of the broadcast team there, and it was a bloodbath. It was honestly one of the bloodiest, craziest female fights I've ever seen in my life. And for just her second professional fight, she handled herself very well and came away with a phenomenal victory. And she has been focused on bulking up, because after her last loss to Aspen Ladd, she felt like she was overpowered. So she's been focused on putting on weight, and she's coming in against a natural flyweight. So size might be an issue in this fight.
And I love the story of Velasco coming in. She is so proud of that bloodbath, as you described it. It's one of the highlights of her life at this point.
She should be.
She was a cheerleader. She was a dancer. She happened to see Uriah Faber, our colleague on the Snoopcast. Her dad turned on a Uriah Faber fight. She said, I want to do that. He said, you're too girly to do that. She said, no, I'm not. She said, partly I love jiu-jitsu and I loved getting into the MMA game, but partly I wanted to prove my dad wrong. And she's proved it all the way into a career as a professional fighter, and now on the cusp of the UFC. She's 5'9". She's going to have a big size advantage. We'll see, as you mentioned, if she bulked up to take on Lauren Mueller. But this is an interesting matchup, certainly, between these two ladies.
And one thing is for sure, that when the women are in the octagon, you're rarely going to see a lull in action. And in addition to this fight, we of course have our featured bout. Let's take a little bit closer look at that matchup.
The best part of my game, I would say, is my striking. I like punishing people to the body, and I'm looking for a finish.
The best part about my game, I would have to say, is my power, my ferocity. You know, I'm in there throwing. My name is Matt the Steamroller Frivola, and I'm fighting out of Long Island, New York, and I'm fighting out of Grace Tampa South and Longo and Weidman MMA. and I'm gonna fight this guy to the end.
My name's Luke Flores. I fight out of Team Ferreira BJJ, and I'm here to fight Matt Frevola and get a fight contract for the UFC. I grew up in South Texas, in a city called Mission, Texas. My junior high year, I moved to a rough part of the city. There was a bunch of crazy things going on, and I got sucked into it, you know, substance abuse and all that stuff. I saw Nick Diaz versus Takanori Gomi in Pride. I related a lot to him, and you could just tell by the passion he had in the ring, like I wanted something like that. He showed crazy stand-up, finishing with the crazy submission that nobody ever sees before. And hopefully one day, a kid battling the demons that I did would see me doing that, and hopefully it could save their life. I'm fighting Matt Frevola. I'm looking forward to the matchup because he's an undefeated fighter. I'm looking for a finish, and I'm excited to be in this position, and I can't wait for Dana White, Sean Shelby, Mick Mader to be ringside watching this fight. I belong in the UFC, and I deserve to compete against the best fighters in the world. It has been a dream of mine to do that since I first started watching MMA. And Matt Frevola is not gonna break me. He's not gonna get a win over me. I'm gonna finish him.
In my last Titan fight, I fractured my ankle. I was throwing a leg kick and he checked it perfectly. And for the rest of that fight, I couldn't push off my right ankle. I had no drive off of it. And then I was throwing an overhand right, and I also fractured my hand, both in round 1. And it was something that I had to work through. You know, you adapt and overcome, and that's what warriors do. We show up, we fight, no matter the circumstances, we fight. I'm fighting Luke Flores. You know, I know he's not easily defeated, but he's far from invincible. He's gonna be running into this F-bomb all night, and once this hits him, it's gonna hurt him. There's no doubt. You know, they call me the steamroller for a reason. I go in there and I look to flatten people. If this fight stays on the feet, he's gonna be running into this right hand. If this fight goes to the ground, I'm gonna be ground and pounding him until he's looking for a way out. And once he gives me that way out, I'm gonna put him to sleep.
So there you have it, 2 undefeated fighters. Both like to stand, both like to mix it up on the canvas. Brendan, what are your thoughts?
Well, let's start with Matt Frevola, who trains out of Gracie, Tampa South, and we've had some fighters on the Contender Series this summer that have proven their toughness. Frevola has proven his toughness. He also trains with Chris Weidman and Ray Longo in the past, as he's from Long Island. He was at those fights, so you know that he's tough for that. And to top it off, his last fight out, he broke his ankle and he broke his hand in the first round, and he still gutted out a win. This is his first fight since those injuries. It'll be interesting to see how he responds to that, but 5-0 with 3 first-round finishes, you can't look the other way at that.
He has a very, what I would call a technical brawler style. Really, really likes to bring the pressure, a lot of power on his shots, but facing someone like Luke Flores from that open stance Luke has probably one of the most devastating body kicks I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you go from 5-0 on Frevola's side to 7-0 on the side of Luke Flores, and he has 5 first-round finishes. And he says he doesn't really have a style. He's got a really well-rounded game. Of his 7 wins, 3 are knockouts, 3 are submissions. So a dangerous fighter because you can't pinpoint exactly what he was going to do. And he's been through life's battles. He lost a child. He's been through a divorce. He is ready to punch his ticket to the UFC, says it's been a dream of his, and he hopes to achieve that dream tonight.
Well, as you can tell, Brendan does a fantastic job of breaking down these fights in a very technical way. So does his cohort, Paul Felder. If you're looking for a little bit more of a, I can say, laid-back approach to watching these fights, you might want to head on over to the Snoopcast, where you can see the one and only Snoop, D-O-double-G, and the California Kid, Uriah Faber, give their particular flavor of MMA discussion. And I got to say, that flavor tastes a lot like gin and juice.
Yes, it certainly does. Not to be caught without it.
It's a fantastic experience. If you haven't checked it out, you've got to take a look. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from last week's Snoopcast.
You know who else is kind of sneaky long? Snoop Dogg. And if you've watched this before on Fight Pass, you know that you can toggle between Snoop and Uriah and us. He's out! He's out! He's out!
He put his ass to sleep like he's supposed to.
Wow.
He went to the body on his ass, too.
Oh, wow.
Roll
snapped his head off his head.
Down the street. Ooh, look at that red bottom. My God, heavens to Mercury.
Guys, I'm here with Mike Santiago. Mike,
He look like he been eating pizza. Look at his face. Let me have a slice. Pizza face. Spaghetti mouth.
Whoa, nice kick.
Car crash.
Woo! Bonito's national.
Do you have insurance? Go
nasty,
to the Let's
nasty
Arsenal.
Boom, another boom.
Oh, boom.
Woo!
Boom.
Wow.
Man, Peterson is a dog.
Wow.
Man. He lost that fight, but he's a fucking dog.
He lost a fight, but he came for it, baby. The best commentary cast on the planet.
Dana White's Tuesday night contenders, baby, on the UFC Fight Pass.
There you have it. You never know what you're going to get on the Snoopcast, but we know what you're going to get. You're going to get some great fights in just a few minutes. And if you haven't signed up for a subscription already, head over to UFCFightPass.com. Sign up for your free trial so you do not miss tonight's action. Thank you so much for joining us. For Brendan Fitzgerald, I'm Laura Sanko. This was the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series pre-fight show brought to you by Toyo Tires, All or Nothing. And guys, the action starts right now.
As I started to go out and look at talent around the country, I started to realize how much talent there is. The level of athlete is getting better and better. This has never been done in the history of combat sports. We're literally going out there all over the world to try to find the next world champion.
Growing up in Waianae, Hawaii, you're always fighting, you know. I believe that God has put me on earth to be a champion one day.
My mom did a great job of raising 6 kids. Sometimes we didn't know if we were gonna have heat or not. Sometimes we didn't know if we were gonna have hot water or not. We got through it, but now I'm here fighting for them.
I have no idea how I was comfortable sleeping in the football field in Hamilton Park. I had bags of training clothes. I knew deep down, this is all gonna change.
I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 2.5 years old, and I've always been a fighter. All I needed to ever do was show Dana that I deserve to be here.
I came from the bottom, clawing my way to the top.
This is everything I've been working for. I'm ready.
I was the little guy in a pretty rough neighborhood. I'm gonna achieve greatness, and this is just step one.
There's no denying that I should be in the UFC.
I fight for my kids.
I fight for my dreams.
I fight for the glory.
I fight for my kids, I fight for my family, and I fight to be the best in the world.
The only person I fear is my mom. I ain't fighting her, so we good.
What's up, Dana? I hope you have that multi-fight deal for me, because I'm coming for the knockout.
If you know me, you know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for exciting fighters that go for broke and try to win.
I came from the jungle. I'm ready to be one of the top fighters in UFC.
I deserve this second chance. I belong in the UFC.
Who knows what's gonna happen, but I'm in there to finish my opponent.
For Dana to be impressed, I have to finish this guy.
I'm gonna put on the fight of my life.
The Tuesday Night Contender Series live and only on UFC Fight Pass.
What's your problem? Bored? Stop whining and watch a fight. Not just a fight, pretty much every MMA fight worth watching. How? UFC Fight Pass, that's how. It's a digital streaming service with the world's largest fight library, original shows, and exclusive live events. That's thousands of fights being through your eyeballs and into your brain. Anywhere, anytime. Problem solved. UFC Fight Pass solves everything.